And the other way that's most efficient to transport bulk commodities is by large ships, Cape-size ships, which these are the big ones that come in and out of Vancouver. I don't know if there are any boaters here, but you see them coming through our channels and in and out of the ports in Vancouver. So those Cape-size ships, they're about as long as an oil tanker. They're a little deeper, a little wider. They use less fuel per ton. They are also more carbon efficient for that reason. And the use of those, by using those ships, it's just economies of scale. Producers can cut the cost of the vessel cost by about 30%. So if you can cut 30% out of a part of your transportation network, that's a big deal. And it helps U.S. commodity producers be more efficient in serving those markets. One problem, there's no port on the west coast of the United States that can handle those ships for dry bulk commodities. There's no capacity. So those commodities come through here, go up our corridor, and go out through Canada, or they go south and out through Mexico. And so there's only one place on the west coast of the United States that you can accommodate these vessels without dredging. And dredging is a big deal. When you dredge the first time, there are a lot of environmental issues, and then you have to keep doing maintenance dredging, right? So, and that's expensive. But there's one place where you can accommodate deep ships with near shore water that's deep enough to accommodate. Guess where? Cherry Point, exactly. It's the only place. There are other attributes of Cherry Point as well. So, and just think about trying to assemble this, this transportation network to transport these commodities. Okay, you need near shore deep water. You need a large industrial site that's zoned properly. You need rail service. You need industrial utilities. And ideally, you would even have a bluff. The shape of the bluff and bank would be such that you could run a pier right off the bluff and not have to cut the shoreline underneath. Now, where would you put all those things together? I don't know. I don't think you can put them together anywhere except at Cherry Point. So about 15 years ago, SSA Marine started assembling acreage out there. They have about 1,100 acres that they've assembled between Intalco and BP. And they have been working since that time. They've already spent about $20 million in studies and other things on developing the site. But nothing could move forward because in 1999, the Commissioner of Public Lands, Jennifer Belcher, declared that the Cherry Point area was an aquatic reserve and set rules to follow. Now, Jennifer's a friend of mine. I served on her advisory committee, but it was a little confusing when you had a heavy industrial area, our only one, and it was declared to be an aquatic reserve, which meant something, but it wasn't clear what it was. So everything kind of ground to a halt, including the existing industries, have had some agony about whether to reinvest or not, because you're not sure what the environmental rules are that you're going to be operating under. So there were no rules for 10 years until Peter Goldmark, with a lot of input from this community, a lot of people here were very helpful. Where's Warren? There he is. I was get where he is. I tried to Peter Goldmark put into the current Commissioner of Public Lands, put in a set of rules that set a very high environmental standard, but allow for continued investment and reinvestment in industry at Cherry Point. And in fact, declared that 4 industrial sites at Cherry Point are consistent with his policies. Why is he important? He has to give a lease. Anybody who wants to run a pier has to get a Tidelands lease from the State Department of Natural Resources. All right, so those rules, which we worked real hard on, also reinforced the ability of the existing industries to continue operating out there. Because there was some question. There are some people who would like to see Puget Sound deindustrialized. Let's just face it. I mean, there are all kinds of thoughts about the environment and industry and what should happen, but on the one extreme, there are people who really would like to see industry off of the shorelines of Puget Sound, including Cherry Point. Those are called the deindustrialists. At least that's what I call them. I made that up. But a lot of us feel that the real challenge is how do you make industry and the environment operate in harmony? And how do you provide high-wage jobs while doing it in an environmentally responsible way? And growing up, I can tell you, I developed a great appreciation for high-wage jobs because I was a kid bagging groceries for people, and I saw what happened when they went from not having much of a job or much work to landing a job maybe at Intelco or one of the oil refineries. And suddenly those people were homeowners, and they could afford to send their kids to college, and they had pride. And I remember my dad always used to point out to me, he'd say, see that guy, he's a banker. See that guy over here, he's works at Intalco. See that person over there, he's a lummy. Guess what? They all eat about the same. And so we always felt that, everybody was equal, especially if everybody had enough money to put food on their table and feed their families well. So when you grow up in that kind of business, you learn quick the importance of a good